Ladies and gentlemen, if in the essence of time, I'll go ahead and get started. The order is we will have a report from Franklin. I'll have a report. Then we'll have Mr. Tate, Chairman Tate, and Mayor Taylor from Highlands, and give us updates on everything. Also, we've got some Ziploc bags. If anybody needs a doggy bag, we've got them out in the office area. First off, let me introduce our town officials that we have tonight. Vice Mayor Barbara McRae, Joe Collins, council member, Dinah Mashburn, council member, Brandon McMahon, council member, and Adam Kimsey. So we got a pretty good turnout tonight. So let me give you a little update on Franklin, where we are, where we're going. As you noticed, we finally got the parallel parking in on the north side of Main Street. Been very little kickback on it. Few people have had a problem with it, but most everyone seems to be very pleased with it, and it's working very well. We do hope to begin work on the crosswalks and the bulb outs within the next month. This is going to completely change the complexion of Franklin. There will be those crosswalks that will be a contrasting color, a deep red with the white stripes outlining it, and then we're going to have bulb outs, which will probably have trees and flowers in them. If you don't know what a bulb out is, there are a lot of them over in Asheville. So we're proud of that. Comprehensive land use plan. We had 3 days of public comment, public meetings, online surveys, paper surveys, and it deals with poverty, housing, land use, our infrastructure, and our sidewalks for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years to come. This is basically, we're looking forward to the future. It's an investment in the future. Our water plant. We finished phase 1 and we're now beginning phase 2 of the water treatment plant. Clean Sweep. How many of you have heard Clean Sweep? It's a program whereby people may adopt a street to deal with the litter. We supply the grabbers, the vests, and bags, and it's very similar to the Adopt a Highway program, except it's for litter. Our neighborhood litter. Our Memorial Park across the street where we had the last meeting, we have done extensive renovations on it, both inside and outside. And if you remember the old shuffleboard court, that's now the floor for the enclosed picnic area with the picnic tables. And we converted the old tennis courts into basketball courts. We have several large developments that are in the planning stages and a couple of areas that have been rezoned commercial. I don't have a whole lot of information to release on that tonight. Our hospital, as part of the Mission HCA sale, it appears HCA is moving toward a new hospital on the bypass adjacent to Bojangles' new restaurant below, and I'm sorry Ronnie, I still call it Integra Bank.
Still is.
Oh, I thought it changed.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. So it's below the bank. Yeah. The festivals, Franklin continues to be a mecca of festivals and celebrations. The town wholly sponsors our Pickin' on the Square, which is now 21 years old, and our Pumpkin Fest is 23 years old. Last year, the children rolled over 700 pumpkins downtown Hill, showing that there is a valid use for pumpkins. The town sponsors a Veterans Day celebration, an old-fashioned hometown July the 4th celebration, and a children's pet parade. It really was one of the biggest crowds we've had in Franklin this past July the 4th. We have the Winter Wonderland and the town-wide lighting of the Christmas tree on Town Square. New banners. We've completed the first phase of replacing all the old town banners on the power poles, and shortly we will have phase 2, which will promote our Franklin Panthers around the high school area. Partnering with others, we have several 5K races the upcoming 80s flashback, which will be this Saturday, heritage festivals, and the airing of the quilts. Our roundabouts. The DOT is putting in 4 roundabouts within the city limits. We also have several projects going on 441 south near the community building and the recreation park, and that looks like it's going to be a major project if you passed by recently. So recently, I'm going to brag a little bit. Franklin was named the 25th most livable city in North Carolina by the Chamber of Commerce. That's not our Chamber of Commerce. The criteria was based on 5 factors: employment, number of establishments, median earnings, housing owner-occupied, housing with a mortgage, monthly housing costs, quality of life, work, commute, poverty levels, education, percentage with a bachelor's degree or higher, and health. The other far western North Carolina town, the other one in western North Carolina, was Waynesville at 50th. Broadband, this continues to be an issue that the town, the county, and I think everybody in western North Carolina looks at. Does any of the board members want to say anything? Okay, if not, Mr. Tate, sir, I think you're up.
All right, Chief Breedlove, appreciate your hospitality tonight and hosting us, and I love seeing your facility. It's always impressive to see you and your team come together, and a lot of that has to do with leadership. So kudos to you. So thank you all for having us tonight. Let me do, just like Mayor Scott, I'll introduce our team that's here tonight. I have our Vice Chairman, Ronnie Bill. We have Commissioners Carl Gillespie and Paul Higdon. We have our Finance Director, Lori Hall. Clerk of the Board, Mike Decker, and we have our County Attorney, Chester Jones, and our County Manager, Derek Rowland. Did I get everybody? I hope. Well, I got a few things I'm going to run through tonight. If y'all have any questions, please just throw your hand up and I'll do my best to answer. I'm going to break this out into sort of what's going on by the communities. And then I'm going to touch on a few things countywide right at the end. But initially, I'm going to start with kind of topics that we're discussing with the town of Highlands right now. Town of Highlands, this is probably new news to about everybody in here. Our next meeting here, August 9th, we're going to have the Highlands Performing Arts Center, the PAC. For those of y'all that don't know, they're doing a major, it's not even a renovation, it's a completely new building for the town of Highlands. So they're going to be giving us a presentation at our August 9th meeting, and as all of y'all know, we come to the presentation, we're probably going to get asked to help out financially, so that'll be coming up. Highlands is obviously the community that I live in, so it's a little more closer to home, so I'm going to talk about a few of the things that are near and dear to me that I've been watching. Mayor Taylor and I were just sitting beside each other, and one of the topics we were just discussing was the recycling center efforts in Highlands. Currently, if you're a Highlands resident, you really got to travel a good ways out Buck Creek Road or a long ways down Rich Gap to get to one of our centers. And because of that, the town sort of gets overwhelmed with their dumpsters with household trash. You have these commercial vendors in town that pay for things, and they get overrun because it's just not convenient. It's just not a convenient center. So I know the county as a whole is going to be trying to make some improvements, which I'm going to mention again here in a few minutes. One of the things that I've got on my plate with the town is to try and help the town of Highlands improve their recycling center and our efforts in helping them do that. Third thing going on in Highlands right now is the mayor came down and provided us a few months ago a presentation about y'all's efforts, which I have to commend you on with your broadband. And now that we're through with our budget, we will be bringing that up for discussion. I've got a feeling it'll be our September meeting. Moving down towards Franklin, I'm going to mention some of the topics, some of the things we've worked on this past year, and some of the things we got going on moving forward. We just completed a roughly $3 million project to South Macon Elementary, where we added 6 classrooms, cafeteria renovation, new HVAC system. And I like that when Derek wrote this out for me, he put this, we are happy to announce the project was completed on time and under budget. Good job, Mr. Manager. Macon Middle School. The county recently received a building assessment of Macon Middle School from Novus Architecture, which evaluated site features, exterior building envelope, interior finishes, general building life, plumbing, HVAC, electrical systems, etc. Using this information, the county administration is currently working with the school system to draft a RFQ for architectural services. Once selected, the architect will assist us in preparing the bid documents, and we'll get moving forward. And Derek, my understanding, that's going to be a $10+ million project.
That'll, in large part, we had an assessment which gave a preliminary number, a site assessment that kind of went in and looked at some things. In reviewing this assessment and creating the RFQ with architectural services, we looked at some things, and part of that architect's job will be to help us really nail down the scope of that project. So that number, the estimate that we received from the assessment was $14 million, but that number is still for planning purposes only, and could go down once we get the scope down. Architects.
Thank you. Well, the budget that passed the House of Representatives of the state included a lot of money. I think it was $11 million. Come to us so we could specifically use that. Just free money, interest-free for that capital expenditure, which, as you could imagine, that would be a tremendous help for us financially. However, the governor vetoed that, and I think they're in deliberations to try and work it out. But boy, I hope we can get that money moving forward. The Greenway connection. We've had several meetings on how to handle underneath the town bridge. So the connection of the existing Greenway trail at Wesley's Park to pedestrian bike lane on the south side of the newly constructed town bridge is looking as if it will soon become a reality. Our planning and recreation departments have worked diligently with the town of Franklin and the state of North Carolina to get this project off the ground. At present, it appears that the state will be performing the work to install a paved ADA accessible connection linking the Greenway together. The next step in this process will be selecting a lead agency to run the project. At this time, it appears that if a municipality, town of Franklin, is selected, the project will receive an 80-20 match, and if the county does, it will be a 70-30, so there's obvious reasons for that. We will have more information on this project in the next few coming weeks, and we'll need to be prepared to make a decision on who's going to handle the lead agency. For those of you that are not aware, in our budget this year, we at the urging of our Superior Court judge, we put a lot of time and effort and energy in leading the group. Entering and exiting the courthouse are going to all of a sudden become very different coming up. We're currently in the process of ordering equipment and hiring additional sheriff deputies in preparation for the upcoming security renovations. Upon completion, you're only going to have 2 ways to get in the courthouse. The 3rd floor, right now where you enter towards our boardroom, the commissioner's bed boardroom, and on the 2nd floor. Both of those entrances are going to have x-ray and metal detecting equipment to go through, as well as staffed by 3 officers at each location. So again, that'll be happening here real soon. The dog park, I think Derek, you said we broke ground today?
They moved the equipment in.
Moved the equipment in. So we budgeted roughly $120,000 that's going to go to developing the 2-acre Frogtown property. Upon completion, we'll have a fenced-in dog recreation area with a public restroom facility and a walking track. I mentioned earlier, as I was speaking about Highlands and the convenience centers, we're also soon going to be renovating convenience centers in several of our local communities. Centers throughout the county will not only become more aesthetically pleasing, but more efficient as well by replacing our current dumpsters and semi-trailers with enclosed containers for recycling and actual compactor units for trash. We're also getting ready to go through the 2020 census. We will have a presentation from the U.S. Census Bureau at our August meeting, at which we consider a resolution in support of the 2020 census efforts. As part of this effort, Macon County will be heading up a complete count committee to help encourage county residents to participate in the census. The committee will be a collaborative effort with a common goal of ensuring a complete and accurate count in Macon County. April 1st, 2020 will be here before you know it, so participation on the complete count committee will be important. Again, we'll hear more details about this at our August meeting. The space needs analysis, that's where we've had a firm come in and study all of our county facilities, try and give us some logical information on how we want to make decisions moving forward. It's getting ready to be completed. They've made visits to all of our county sites as well as intensive interviews with our management and department heads by the architecture firm of Mosley's. The group is currently in the process of compiling this information and putting it into draft form for the county's consideration. As we have discussed, the study will contain recommendations which will help us prioritize the capital needs that have been identified in our capital improvement plan. It's been a long time coming. Some things don't move very fast in government, but I think that's for a reason. It makes you take your time and study things and make a good logical decision, and I'm looking forward to finally having this information before us. Other notable mentions in our budget, we increased our school operational funding, provided a new ambulance this year. We've also got 2 new dispatchers coming in. We've completed our telecommunication tower upgrade project, the final phase of $1 million in this budget, which will provide handheld subscriber units to our members of our 11 volunteer fire departments, as well as our EMS and sheriff's departments. It's going to be a good thing. Communication is critical, especially in time of an emergency. We're also equipping our sheriff's department with in-car cameras and body cams. It was a $260,000 project, which we received $65,000 in state funding, thanks to the efforts of Representative Corbin. And I think that's all I've got. Anything, Commissioner Bill? Paul? Anything? Any questions? All right, that was easy. Mayor Terrell?
I forgot something a minute ago as Mayor Pat's coming up. If you would like to take a ride around Franklin in a 1937 fire truck, I have it on the docket here. We would just be delighted for you to take the tour around Franklin and even have your picture made in it. Right, Bobby? Right, okay. So that was what I wanted to mention. And one other quick thing, our ladder truck, our 75-foot ladder truck is out there, and anybody wants to climb it may do so. We always appreciate the opportunity to come to Highlands, to Franklin, and of course meet with the other elected bodies. We appreciate the hospitality tonight, and we have a good turnout tonight. We have 3 commissioners here. Commissioner Donnie Calloway is with us, Commissioner Amy Patterson, and Commissioner Eric Pearson is here. We also have our town manager, Josh Ward, with us, and Gibby Shaheen, our town clerk. Then I want to introduce, we've had an intern this summer, Olivia Stuman. She's majoring in public administration, and she's been working at Town Hall, and she will be leaving us at the end of the week, but I wanted to introduce Olivia. She's at Appalachian State, her senior year, but she is a graduate of Franklin High School. She's a Panther. So we've enjoyed having Olivia here. You know, really, our meetings are so much about partnerships. So I just want to go over what we're doing and talk about maybe some possible partnerships and some partnering that we're already doing. As mentioned before, Mayor Scott talked about the critical need for broadband. Despite House Bill 129, despite that the NC Fiber House Bill 431, which would be an improvement, is stalling out. The town of Highlands, we've been working on building a broadband fiber optic network for the last 5 years. We're not talking about it anymore. We have signed a contract that's $4.6 million, and we are partnering with the private provider, Wide Open Networks. They will invest a substantial amount of money into the system, and the contractor is actually now building the
the network, and it will be fiber to every business and every home in Highlands. And that network will spread very quickly. For example, last week we were talking with Little T Broadband, a nonprofit group that's trying to bring broadband to the Alto area. And our technicians in our GIS department, we're working with them, and we realized that between Scaly and Highlands, there's a potential for fiber optic connection where they could hook in, and they're off and running too. So that's why I'm saying that this broadband network, while it will immediately impact Highlands, it will also impact that whole plateau area, and we're very excited about that. The contractor has 300 days to complete the building of the network. The only problem that he's been experiencing is to get the big fiber bundles. They're on back order because it's such a demand now. They will have those around November. In the meantime, they're building from the outside into our central hub. So we're very excited about having the broadband as a utility that will guarantee access to this technology for this community in the future. The other thing that we've been working on is becoming a bear-wise community. It's connected to the way we handle our trash pickups. We've had problems with bears where we are on the plateau. For example, last year at this time, we would have marauding bears going right down Main Street at night, turning over every street can we had looking for food. It was a real problem. We addressed that by putting bear-resistant street cans. They seem to be working until some smart bear will probably try to figure a way to breach them, but that's working. We also are moving away from the shared dumpster system in our commercial areas, which is a invitation and breeding ground for bears to come in and hit every restaurant that throws their waste and everything in those dumpsters. We're now going over to a Barracuda, that's the name of the company, a toter, which is bear resistant, and we will be deploying those in the commercial area in the coming months. And then finally, we have a committee, our Public Works Committee, working on a procedure where we move toward implementing those same kind of practices in our residential area. One of the things we've been doing with our sanitation for years, we've had people just have trash cans, and we've discovered that our sanitation workers have a lot of back injuries because they're lifting those cans constantly, maybe 1,000 a day. The health and safety people came in and said, why aren't you using toters? We even have the toter lift system on our trucks. So we're moving away from having just open trash cans to where everybody will be using a toter. It will help address the bear problem and also improve the health and safety of our workers. The other thing we have is the completion of a new 630,000 gallon water tank on Satula. It cost us about $3 million. We had a 330,000 gallon tank that about 2 years ago started to show signs of failure, i.e. it was leaking like a sieve. It's still in service, but this new one will double our capacity at that site and help us balance out our water system throughout the community and increase capacity. So that tank is completed. We'll be doing some testing and prep work, and it'll come online in the coming months. The other thing that we've had to do a lot of this year in our budget is paved roads. We had a harsh winter, and like every city, we've gotten a lot of water coming down in the last year, and some of our roads have literally been washed away. We had Cullasaja Road, where we had to, in the spring, put down about 30 tons of temporary concrete packs just so people could use that road. So we'll be doing a lot of paving of some of our major roads, and it looks like we're committed to doing those types of paving jobs now for the next several years. The other thing that Commissioner Tate referred to is the issue of trash and recycling. And there is a problem in that we have on one end, Buck Creek, a trash and recycling center. We have, of course, the Rich Gap one, and they're very far apart. For many of the people that live in the Highlands city limits area, they do not use those as much as they should. We partnered with the county last year, and we brought in a recycling trailer at the rec park, and it has been very successful. You know, people will come and put their recyclables in that trailer. We look after it and everything, but then the folks from Rich Gap will come and hook it up and take it down, empty the recycled materials, bring it back up. It's been a good partnership. One of the things we thought would be helpful would be to put out a trash dumpster, so if someone was just recycling, they had one little bag of trash, it'd be wonderful for them to toss that into the dumpster. That became real popular. It became super popular. We had people bringing so much household garbage, we had to add another dumpster. That was not enough. By this spring, we had 3 dumpsters. And we had people from all over the plateau, not just Highlands residents, but just all over the plateau coming in. I would even observe it. They would come in with a Subaru full of trash bags, and they'd start picking them. Well, it became so intense that we had to remove the dumpsters. We had leakage on the parking lot. We had people just in a frenzy throwing bags in our cardboard area, throwing bags in the recycling bin. So we had to kind of step back, remove those dumpsters, and just focus on recycling and kind of educate and condition people that we just have a recycling trailer there. But it's created a need, it's created a problem. And to be quite frank, the mayor gets a lot of people saying, how could you remove those dumpsters? We depend on them, and so forth. And here's where I think we can partner. The county, the town can partner, maybe finding a site and investing in some equipment and materials that will help address that problem. Not just the people that live in Highlands, but the people that live in that surrounding area. So that's one thing that we will be working with the county on, trying to improve that situation. Other thing that we're working on is building a new fire department. I was noticing you have the ventilation systems and things like that in your fire department here. It's a beautiful, spacious building. Our fire department is not as large. We don't have that kind of system. We don't have the ability to wash out the turnout gear as we should and so forth. So there's been a need to create a new fire department. We found a piece of property that's only about 1/4 mile from the old, the current fire station. We will acquire that property, and then we're in the process of having architects work with the fire department and everything in building a new department. That costs money, and I appreciate the county allowing us to go up on our fire tax. We were at 1 cent. We went up to 3 cents for the purpose of building this new facility, which will get underway as soon as possible. I will say this, and I'm going to use our town managers as an example, and I said this at our town board meeting. When I got my property tax bill, and I always look at it, I saw my fire tax. My property's valued at just at $600,000. My fire tax was $180. It had been about $80. Our town manager in Josta, his property's valued at half that. But in his district, he's still paying more on fire tax than I am in Highlands, which translates, we had a real low fire tax. We still have a real good value, even though we're building this new facility. So we will be working on the new fire station very soon. One of the things that I'd like for us to partner and consider, we have an ambulance facility there that the county operates that's next to our fire department that we have now. I'd like to see us consider partnering with the county. We've got a 2.5 acre new facility to where maybe that facility could be located right next to the fire department where we'll have barracks and so forth, and we could work together and enhance the EMS, the ambulance service in the Highlands area. And I'll bring up one of the concerns that I hear in the community, and that is with the changes in health care, with the changes we've gone through with HCA, with the new foundations that are being created, there's a lot of folks up on the plateau that are kind of nervous about having medical access in a timely manner. And maybe between the county, the town, and these foundations that will be trying to improve the health and wellness of these communities, we could come together and maybe improve that EMS ambulance situation in the community. So that's something to look ahead and see what are the possibilities. A couple of other things. We are working, Commissioner Tate and I know Mayor Scott have worked on issues on greenways. We have formed, or I've formed, kind of an ad hoc working group with some folks in Highlands and folks in Cashiers about the possibility of creating a connected greenway between those two communities. It is just in the conceptual stage. We're using our GIS department for looking at the maps on Forest Service land and so forth. And it's just a conceptual model now. But I think down the road, there could be some partnerships. Partnerships with the community of Cashiers and Highlands. Partnerships with Jackson County. And partnerships with Macon County. And I'll keep you posted on that. It is not a done deal. It's just a planning phase that we're in at this point. Then the other thing, trucks on the Gorge Road. I came before the town of Franklin's board and said I'd like to work on trying to address that. I came to the county commissioners and said I'd like to work on this issue, which is a real problem between both of our communities, because it takes one bonehead trucker that doesn't pay attention to the signs and gets stuck on that Gorge Road, and it creates a tremendous amount of problems. Let me report to you the good news, and let me report to you maybe the good news, but it could be the bad news. Olivia Stuman was she's our intern, was in my office when we did a conference call with the folks at DOT. Mayor Scott was on that call too. It's amazing how complicated something can become. My goal was, let's stop the tractor trailers from getting on the Gorge Road. Simple enough. But then the head engineer for the North Carolina DOT has his input, says, oh no, you just can't say no tractor trailers, the trucking industry, they'll weigh in, all of this kind of stuff. So it was complicated, but here's where we are. The DOT has already appropriated money to put a radar activated system both here at Franklin in front of the turnaround and up at Highlands. So if a big tractor trailer rig comes by that radar, flashing lights will come on and it'll be say, go down 106 or go to the turnaround, do not proceed on the Gorge Road. So that's the good news. They will probably put that out in the next month or so. That's on the way. The other thing though that we wanted them to do was to be more specific about banning tractor trailers. We couldn't really get them to agree to that, but here's something that they've suggested. They've suggested that we install cameras on both ends. And we photograph truckers that go by those signs and continue down the road. They would say that for law enforcement, it would not be like a red light camera where a fine is automatically issued, but it would allow the state patrol or the local police to document that that trucker willfully went through the warnings and proceeded down the Gorge Road. That's the good news. The bad news is we will have to get special local legislation passed in the North Carolina legislature to permit those cameras to be installed on that stretch of the road. So Mayor Scott, myself, and Brian Burke, the engineer for Division 14, will be working with Representative Corbin and Senator Davis about seeing if we can get that permission and those cameras to be installed. So that's going to be take a little bit of time. As Commissioner Tate said, government does not move fast. So it'll take a little bit of time to see that become a reality. One other thing, you might have heard this, we had an almost disastrous fire last week. Our theater was putting on a production of Oklahoma. They had some hay bales in the workshop and the dressing room, which is an auxiliary building to the historic theater. Someone just happened to walk by on a Sunday morning and see smoke coming from it. And our first responders, our fire department, Steve Gearhart and everybody jumped on it immediately because it was right next to the fire department. And luckily, they got there in time and put the fire out, because if it had been about 5 more minutes, it probably would have exploded into flames. It could have burned the theater down. It could have even gone further. So I just wanted to say, you know, a community really depends on firefighters to get out there and do their best and do their job, which they always do. So we appreciate the Highlands Fire Department for what they did, and I know Mayor Scott and everyone appreciates the great fire department you have here. So that's about all I have. So thank you very much. Good. Any other?
No, you said no.
Thank you for letting me know.
That's bad. Okay, if there's no further business, Chairman, do you need to get a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Higgins, would you like to adjourn?
So moved.
Second by Commissioner Bill, all in favor?
Everybody.
Okay, one thing that we talked about broadband. I talked just very briefly with Mr. Gillespie. I think that what we need to do is look at what TVA did years ago with rural electrification, and maybe that they will go down in these coves and hollows where we don't have it. But that might be a solution to all the Appalachian Regional Commission, is what TVA did to bring electricity to those coves and hollows where the private providers did not want to serve one properly. So with that, I will remind you again, if you want to take a tour in the 37 fire truck. If anybody really, I don't know, Chief, I don't know whether we better have anybody climb that ladder or not. But you're welcome to come on and look at our equipment. The Chief will take you around and his firefighters. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, for each of you that are here tonight, if you would, before you leave, if you'll walk inside there where we received our food, there are some Town of Franklin swag bags for each of you to have and take home. And then also on each of your tables, whoever would like one, at each table there's a set of flowers that you're welcome to take home. So thank you very much.
Okay, whose time is it next? Mr. Tate? Mr. Taylor?
That's it?
No, I'm talking about for the next joint meeting.
It'll be us.
Okay, looking forward to it. I think these are great, and we appreciate everybody coming down the mountain and visiting with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.